What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers weekly tech podcast. This is episode 218, and this episode is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, of course, gives us a little kickback and helps the podcast keep on going. What's up, Ryan?
Not a whole lot. I'm ready to podcast.
How's your social distancing going?
It's all right. I mean, I'm still having to go into work. I worked remote yesterday and trying to kind of transition again, just still work in an industry that is not set up to shift people quickly to working remotely and working from home. So just trying to get all that still hammered out. So we'll get there. But right now, I just do so much like organization and physical work to make that happen that I've just got to keep going in right now. So.
Yeah, that would be kind of difficult.
But it's really not that bad because, I mean, about half of our staff is home and remote already. So it's really cleared out. And I only interact with a couple people throughout the day. And we're really trying to use Jabber for chatting or WebEx, phone calls a lot more. So, I mean, it really between driving to work and coming home, like I went to Target one day last week and I hadn't been to a store in, I don't know, a month. And I haven't been anywhere else besides that, really. So, I mean, I feel like I'm doing an all right job. I'm not like totally isolated from people at the same time. But yeah, trying to do as good as we can right now.
That's good. I went grocery shopping. What was that? Yesterday, I told you. Yeah. That was. I mean, we wore masks and gloves and everything, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I still feel weirded out being close to people, if that makes sense. Just because you just never know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it didn't seem like I went in the afternoon at like noon, and it seemed like we went to Target. It was busy,
like normal crowds.
Yeah, so it wasn't like there was nobody out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a retail shopping area like a couple miles away that we go to quite often, and I hate driving like through the main intersection there in the strip because it's always just like packed. And every time I've kind of driven by there, it's a lot less. So I know that like, because I'm not getting frustrated sitting in traffic or trying to get to where I need to go. So I know that like traffic is down, and like my drive to and from work every day, traffic is like significantly reduced. So I know that people are home, but
I think that is a big change, is that there's no like rush hour anymore, it seems.
Yeah. No.
But hello to everybody who's entering the stream. And Jackson said, hello, everybody. So we'll wait for a lot of you guys to get in here. But before we get into tech, I wanted to put this surprise on Ryan.
Oh, boy.
Is that, well, we're talking about being at home and being stuck at home. And my favorite thing is
snacks.
You got so I want to talk about some snacks that I've been enjoying because I've been stuck at home a lot. So one is beef jerky. Yeah. I just picked up this actually at Target, Old Trapper. I've never actually had it, but it seems to be the wetter kind, which you're not a fan of.
Nope.
No, so you're not a fan of that. So then and one thing that's interesting too is that I don't eat a whole lot of candy, but recently I've been eating a ton of candy.
Okay.
So I have my sour gummy worms. And then I have these, which are probably not that great for you. They're probably not that great, but dried tropical pineapple.
See, I love pineapple, but every time I have like the dried stuff, it makes it so much sweeter usually to me is what I find. And it's too sweet. That's probably my favorite fruit though. But
yeah, it is. These are actually pretty sweet. I only eat like a few at a time. So,
and I don't know if that's like the process of just like drying it out turns it like that, or if they put extra sugar on it.
I'm sure they add sugar. I'm guessing there's 31 grams of sugar per serving, which is 1/4 cup. So, but in any case, So have you since you haven't been going to the store that much? Is there like things you've been eating differently, or are you just?
I mean, we've been doing some more carry out. Like the other day, there's a local small like Mexican restaurant that I loved going to at lunchtime. So he's doing carry out. You know, you can order, and he does a dozen like cheese or beef enchiladas for super cheap. So I got 2 dozen of those for dinner, and he's got them frozen. And he's like actually from 2 to 5, he is like driving around town and doing deliveries.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and he's not using DoorDash or anything like that, but he's doing it on his own. So I've picked stuff up from them. One of my favorite lunch restaurants is like kind of going to open up again on Thursday and Friday, just to kind of test the waters. They had been trying to do that, and I think they weren't getting quite enough business, but they're going to try and ramp that back up. So I think probably, tomorrow or Friday, I'll try and support them as best we can. But yeah, we've been just doing a lot of carry out stuff for the those favorites that you hope like make it through this. To try and support them.
That is kind of sad. So Kayla and I always used to order from this Asian restaurant, Chinese restaurant, and they closed indefinitely. And we were so sad because like right when this started happening, we usually order from there like once every couple weeks. And we ordered from there like right before this started happening. And they're like, oh, like we'll order from them, like they're local. I don't believe they're on like any of the big websites. Like you have to call, or they have some like weird web thing that nobody's probably ever heard of to order. And it was like closed indefinitely, and we were so sad. So
that stinks.
Yeah, but let's get into tech. We have our full show notes page that is in the description of this video if you guys are on the live stream, so you guys can go ahead and follow kind of everything that we're going to be talking about. And starting with you, Ryan, you took a look at a very cool and sort of like a refresh of NZXT's Kraken series AIOs. So you took a look at the X63.
Right. Yeah. So like you said, it's kind of a refresh of some of their previous models. We've again have that infamous look that they have with that infinity mirror and the RGB lighting. So that's kind of back, but in a larger scale. So the X63 is a 280 millimeter version of the X series Kraken. They also make a 120, a 240, this 280, and then a 360. It's a 30 millimeter thick radiator, so kind of in the middle of thickness with regards to the AIOs that we've reviewed lately. But it has a pretty dense fin per inch measurement. So there's quite a few there. And thankfully they did pair this up with their Air P model fans, which are designed for static pressure. Obviously it makes sense to use those instead of their Air Fs, which are for just like regular airflow. And they're just going to do a better job of, pushing air through, especially with that dense fin design there. So those fans aren't RGB, right? You obviously have the RGB lighting in the pump body, but the fans aren't RGB. So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer here, but a pretty standard.
Trying to find the
pretty standard all-in-one cooler. I really appreciate the swivel connections that are on that pump base.
That is like one of the best things, because I've done a bunch of AIOs installation, and like the ones where you can't move it, it's just so restrictive, I feel. And just being able to turn it just makes the world
exactly
difference.
And I think the new Fractal ones even have swivels on the radiator side as well, so I'd be possibly interested in seeing those to see how much easier it is. But so that makes installation and just routing those cables so much easier, and so does the mounting mechanism for the NZXT for the pump block, right? You can adjust and kind of rotate the mounting to fit your needs. So I actually routed the cables to the bottom of the cooler, instead of like them typically coming out the side. It just seemed to work better in the case. And you can also rotate that LED ring and the NZXT logo, so it's like at the orientation that you would like. So it has 30-degree rotation, so you can pretty much mount that in any angle that works best for your case and keep it not looking weird with like the logo or NZXT upside down or something, right? So it's kind of nice. Obviously it integrates with NZXT cam, so you can control the speed of the pump there. The fans don't attach to the pump or anything, so you control those independently, whether it's a fan controller or on your motherboard. So those are kind of independent of the pump speed. And you can control those RGBs around the ring, and then the lighting of the NZXT logo in the center of that mirrored little block there as well. Performance.
We can go performance. We can hit
performance. Performance-wise, at idle, it was kind of right in the middle there. Nothing to write home about, but not horrible either. But then on performance, once we put a load on it, it actually tied with a 360 millimeter alpha cool iSpare that we took a look at. So you've got a little bit bigger surface area than the 280s, or I'm sorry, the 240s that we've looked at. So I think that's just a little testament there to the denser fins on the radiator and those just a little more surface area and larger fans on those 140s that were able to cool it quite a bit better.
And then one thing I did notice, I'm gonna go to, because I actually just noticed this just now. If I go to the third page, one thing I noticed different, because I have the old version. One thing I noticed about this new version is this USB cable is actually a nice one. I mean, not that the one that I'm using is nice, but it's like the generic cable. This seems more protective. Like you're not going to bend the connection.
It's a micro USB connection, and it's I guess you'd call it a bulky kind of connector there. But yeah, it didn't at any time feel like it was, at risk of breaking or bending or anything like that. So overall, though, the performance was great. Price wise, what was it, $149, I believe. Yes. So I wish we could see RGB fans on there at that price point, but it's very close in price to like the Corsair H115i that we looked at a couple months ago, and it has the same kind of setup with non-RGB fans but an RGB block. It's a 280 millimeter design, so a $10 price difference there. Performance wise, they were similar. Really, my only complaint is that there weren't RGB fans with it. But
you know what I think would have looked when I saw this review, when I saw your review, the fans that you have in your Silverstone case?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that style with just the ring around the fan.
The in-win case?
Or the in-win case, I'm sorry. Yeah, that would be really cool because it would kind of match.
Yeah.
That would be very cool, I think. And you wouldn't get like the crazy RGB. And I think because the ring would just be around the edge, you would still get the good performance you get out of these fans compared to RGB fans.
Right. Yeah, because they're RGB air fans that they have. Like that's a pretty wide lighting strip around them. But I think it would look kind of cool with a thin light to kind of match that lighting ring there on the pump. But no, overall, pretty decent cooler, really.
Nice, very cool. I'll
have the Kraken Z73 coming up pretty soon as well.
And the Z73, that's the one where instead of the NZXT screen, that looks really cool. So I'm really excited to see that review you have coming up. But on to my reviews, I took a look at this keyboard, which I'm going to try to lift up without unplugging.
Disconnecting.
I do have it is wireless, but it is this keyboard right here. And I have to say, it's the favorite keyboard that I've ever reviewed. And I've reviewed a lot.
A ton, yeah. And
this is excellent in every sense of the word. And I know a lot of people are used to gaming keyboards, and I have been too. And, we're used to that. But there's a huge market and a huge community of mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, I would say. And iQunix makes sort of like those type of keyboards, I would say. This by no means is designed as a gaming keyboard. It's more designed as sort of like a mechanical keyboard, for people who are mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, I would say. It doesn't have some of the gaming features you would expect. But I think as somebody who is a gamer who likes mechanical keyboards, I think this keyboard would fill a lot of those voids, and it's going to work out really well. And the quality on this thing is amazing. So this keyboard, we received the Coral C version. They have a bunch of other ones that have these really cool design. So this is white with this darker blue, and then the coral on specific keycaps. It just looks amazing. And the actual painting is actually throughout the entire thing. So the black is this, or the back is this dark blue as well. It's through the entire chassis of the keyboard, which I absolutely love, because a lot of times you get cool keycaps and then the rest of the keyboard's just like doesn't match anything. It's either black or silver or something. Yeah. And then the second thing I absolutely love about this keyboard is the form factor. So this is a 100 key 96% keyboard. That's why it's called the F96. And basically what that gives you is a keyboard that's more or less the same form factor as a 10 keyless keyboard, but you get the full number pad, which I think that's what separates so many people from getting 10 keyless, is that there's no dedicated number pad. And people just like to use that number pad, whether it's typing in passwords, you know, people just love the number pad. So this gives you that. You can see that you have this full number pad here, but you also get the full arrow keys as well for people who use those. I love this form factor because I love having, like, I forget the keyboard that I reviewed before this, the thermal take one. I loved it. It was heavy. It was great quality, but it was just too big for my desk. Like, I like smaller keyboards. So this is, the form factor for me is a great compromise. It really is. It's just absolutely perfect size for me. So that's something I really enjoyed about this. You also have PBT keycaps, which I can't say enough about. Most keycaps on most keyboards are ABS plastic, which is fine. But PBT it just feels better, which is, of course, the best thing about it. But on top of that, if you use ABS keycaps, you know, your oils from your skin or whatever, they're going to get shine on them, and it's not going to look nice after a while. That doesn't happen either. It's just better quality material. So you have PBT keycaps. So that is another plus on this. As far as mechanical key switches, they use Cherry MX. I got the blues because I love blues. They offer red, brown, and pink. If you're not familiar with pink, that's a silent Cherry MX red. Nice. So you have Cherry MX key switches here. There is this aluminum top plate that you can kind of see through here. But the entire chassis is this heavy aluminum. Even the back piece, like, this is not plastic. It's aluminum back there. So I absolutely love that as well. One thing that's really interesting about this keyboard too is that by default, it sits at this 6-degree angle, which I think, at least for me, is absolutely perfect. I don't need to move it up. There is no adjustment. That's, for some people, that might be kind of, you know, but it just sits on this, you know, these feet right here. It's, like I said, for me, I thought it would bother me because most keyboards I have to put the feet up. With this, it's just at that nice angle for typing, which I absolutely love. It has a Type-C connector, which you can't put out a keyboard in 2020 without a Type-C. If it's a detachable, so you have Type-C up here. And the back, you can see, is just, you know, this plain thing. And what's cool about this is that if you go on their website, you can choose the color. You can choose whether you want it to be wireless or wired. So I got the wireless one, which can also be used wired, as I'm using it now. You just have a simple switch that goes over to Bluetooth mode. Pairing is pretty easy, and they actually give you the dongle. So most times you don't get a dongle with it. They actually give you the dongle as well, which is really cool. And you can select between RGB and non-RGB. I mean, the RGB looks good and it looks okay in the nighttime, but you really don't notice it. I have it on right now. You really can't notice it because the keycaps don't offer the shine through on the legends at all. And I think it would be cool if they offered a version that did, for people that want that, you know, RGB look. Now, I had originally thought that this keyboard had no software, and I was going to ding them for that. But after a lot of research, I did find software. It's on some weird website that is in all Chinese. So I did link it so you guys can find it, because
it's not like on their website.
It is not on their English website. So yeah, I have this weird website that I found it on. I think it's like I don't know what it is. I think it's like a Chinese Google Docs or something where I found it. But the software is pretty simple to use. It does allow you to change the lighting. You can also change the lighting on the fly, using the keyboard itself, but you can change the lighting. You can remap the keys. You can set macros. It's pretty easy to use. It's just hard to find. So if you guys are looking to get this keyboard, we have the link in the review where you can get the software, because I feel, again, that changing RGB effects should be done via software. It's just much easier. And to remap keys, you will need the software. So if you want to do any of that or set macros, you'll need to do that as well. I absolutely love this keyboard. It is so comfortable. I've used Cherry MX Blue switches. These just feel better. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the PBT keycaps. Maybe it's this all aluminum chassis that gives me absolutely no flex when I type. But
man, they have a cyberspace like color scheme one that's like white and pink. And
oh yeah, and the thing is, so what we were talking about, or no, actually, I don't think they do. I thought they so. There's a lot of companies that make these keyboards, and then they make a mat that would match this color, match this, this color design, so you would have a whole setup. I don't think they do. They should, because I've been looking for a mouse mat to match this keyboard because I love the color, and I want everything to be cohesive. So, but yeah, the keyboard is not cheap. I forget. I think the configured, you're looking at around $230 with wireless, with RGB. But I think that this is a keyboard that will not leave my desk. I don't think that it's going to be replaced. And that's like, and I don't say that very often for a lot of products, because you get reviews, you try different things, but this keyboard, it feels better than any other keyboard that I've used. It's the material that it's made out of is heavy duty. I like that. I can use it wired or wirelessly. And in Bluetooth mode, I didn't notice any input lag or anything like that. The color is just amazing. I mean, just like coming into my office and having this awesome keyboard here. Like I said, it's just the best keyboard I've ever used, and I would highly recommend it. This makes me want to even, I've seen people spend $400, $500 on keyboards, and I can kind of see why, because if you get one that's this quality, you're not going to get one for a very long time after that. So, and like I said, we talk about buying a nice monitor because you're going to use it all the time. I think a keyboard's the same way, right? You're going to be using that quite a bit. So you want something that, it's going to be really good. So I gave it a 10 out of 10 and our Editor's Choice Award, which we don't give out very often. Like I said, the only downside is the software is very hard to find. But yeah, just like I said, the best keyboard that I've ever used. And I wasn't because again, we see these gaming keyboards, and this isn't that well known of a brand, but I'm definitely sold on it. So I might be looking into some other more boutique keyboard brands to see what they have to offer. So definitely check out that review, because it was, like I said, it's one of the best products I've reviewed in a very long time. So we'll move on to something that has to do with data security. And I think that's a big topic because everybody's working at home, and everybody's on Zoom calls, and everybody's, using maybe their home laptop or something like that, or having, company data in the home, because a lot of people are forced to work from home. So I got this little guy into review, which is a flash drive, but it's a encrypted flash drive. And one thing that's really cool about it is, if I can turn it on, it has a little OLED screen on it. So, which will basically prompt you for your password, and you can do full alphanumeric passwords. So like if you hit 2-3 times, that would be B, and you can actually see what you're inputting. And there's a bunch of other stuff you can do with the OLED screen. I think that data security is especially now is super important. So you said you had a DataLocker drive for your work at one point.
Yeah, I don't have the one with the screen and buttons, but we have managed devices that are encrypted, right? And managed through a portal. And I mean, I have to reset the password on it like all the time, it feels like. Or if I don't use it in a certain amount of time, I have to get in and unlock it, in the admin console. So it's they can do a ton of stuff. So this one's cool too, though, that you got the option to unlock it right there.
Yeah. So this is FIPS 197 certified. The encryption is AES 256-bit. Basically, like I said, it is a flash drive that has a keypad on it for you to unlock it, and it's super easy to use. And the one thing that really kind of made sense to me for the OLED screen is nice, but you don't need it, right? It's not necessarily needed. But someone in your position who is I would say an IT manager, if you're deploying these, having a screen that's giving the user prompts makes it so much easier to deploy these. That's less time you explaining things, and in the long run, that's less IT support time to try to be like, okay, this is what you have to do.
Right,
blah, blah,
telling
blah.
them a number combination like to do, but with no feedback. Whereas at least with this, the screen's kind of showing them what they've actually pressed or going through a menu or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that. It has some cool features. It has like the auto lock feature. So like if I do unlock it, I plug it into my PC. You can set it without any activity on the drive. You can have it relock. So say you're somewhere, you walk to go to the bathroom, somebody's not going to pull the drive and access your data, which I like. There's, I believe you can, after so many login attempts, it will lock the drive completely. You can do a lot of cool stuff without the drive even being plugged in. Like I can go in and change the password without it being plugged into my computer. I can do all that stuff because I have access to the screen, which is really cool. It's a very like heavy duty flash drive too. So I don't feel like it's something that you're going to break, which I like. So yeah, like I said, I really like it. It is, like I said, pretty, you can see here where like,
it's a type A connector.
It is a type A. It's a USB 3.1 type A. Technically 3.2 Gen 1 now, but USB 3.1 for all of us normal people. Like I said, it's pretty fast as well. I mean, 212 megabytes a second read and 107 megabytes a second write. It's not good, it's not made to be a super fast drive, but for security, I think it's really good. And I gave it a 9 out of 10. You are going to pay a premium for this. This 8 gigabyte model is $124.
Wow.
So that is expensive when you think like an 8 gigabyte flash drive is probably what, $16, maybe?
Oh, no. It's probably cheaper than that.
Yeah. So you're definitely paying a premium for this. And this is, I don't know if that's the actual like retail price because we're in this sort of crisis right now where Amazon prices aren't necessarily accurate, and like things like this are selling like crazy because companies are deploying these because they need to for people working at home. But I do think it's really cool, and I think if data security is important, this would be one cool drive to have. And again, the OLED screen makes it user friendly. I've had other drives like this where like I don't know what I don't know if I entered it correctly. I might have hit 2 buttons at the same time. This makes it so you don't have any of those problems. So I think that it's, like I said, I think it's a really cool drive. So definitely, go ahead and check out that review as well. And we'll move on to Case Mod Friday. And this week we have...
I love this.
All right.
Like this is my style of build for sure.
Well, hey, tell us about it. So you can tell us about it.
Not controlling the screen.
Oh, there we go. Boom. It's up here.
No, I mean, I'm a fan. I've had the 303 before. This is obviously a build that's in the the InWin 303, but this is the EK version of it. So it's got the integrated distro plate on the front. And I just love, how they've got the parallel lines, the frosted tubing. I love that frosted tubing look. It's nothing too flashy, right? This is also, I think they called it the Liquid Devil. So you've got the Power Color Devil logo on the front there. You can kind of see the horns there. And that's kind of their logo for like their Red Devil video cards and things like that. So no, I mean, EK components in an InWin case, that's pretty sweet. I mean, there's a ton to like there. It's kind of an interesting build because it's a Radeon system. A lot of times in all these custom builds, you'll see
the reason build, this is to showcase the Liquid Devil graphics card, which
right. Which was kind of hinted at for a long time. I know on their social media, like they put out that image that was like almost black, but you could just kind of see some of it. And so, this is kind of working off of that. But I just love the straight lines in this, the light gray, or I'm sorry, the light blue and kind of gray and silver and black color scheme you've got there. The EK Vardar fans, just, and all around like solid looking, clean build. Because this was GGF, right?
Yeah. This was Stuart over at GGF. So
no,
I love
awesome.
his whole just so clean. I think that's the biggest thing. And like you wouldn't think putting tubing like in front of the fans would look good, but like it looks good.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Which I think is really cool. It's just an awesome build. So definitely, like I said, and frosted tubing needs to make a comeback because it's just so much better than normal tubing in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends on what fluid you're running in there as well. I almost wish the front was frosted.
That would be really cool.
I don't know what that'd take to do that, but and then there's a little bit of texturing that they've done to the front of the case. I don't know if that doesn't come stock there, like that pattern there, that kind of gray pattern.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it does or not, because I know they changed the front slightly because obviously this, but I don't know if that's part of it or not. I know the blue accent's not because it wouldn't be.
It would be. Yeah. It would make sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, great one by Stuart. Really, really cool. And you can see like, you have the blue line here, and then there was like the blue line there.
And I got rid of my 303, and it makes me like wish I hadn't, because I see builds like this. I'm like, that would be pretty cool.
The 303 is such a good case.
It really is, yeah.
And just like certain things that like just like these USBs like light up. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not normal. Like just like things like that. Like I remember reviewing this, and like this hinge, like, yeah, it kind of looks, I don't know. But like at the time,
like the tempered glass panels it was all external thumb screws, and just this was the nicest way to do it. And it was, the power supply up top, mounted on the side, and yeah.
And I really, the great thing I loved about this is that you could take the panel off without even touching the glass part of it, right? Because like trying to clean your panel every time you took it off and had to do something, like that's what I loved about the 303. And what was the smaller one? I reviewed the smaller one as well. Had the same panel. So
301. Did they make a 301?
Yeah, 301. Yeah. But yeah, you can see how easy that is to go off there. So really cool stuff. Definitely check out that. And as I always say, we have our full section of Case Mod Friday build. So if you have inspiration or need inspiration and want to see what you can do, we have a full section. You guys can go ahead and check all that out. And our contest just ended for the HDMI switches from Orico. So we did select our winners, and 2 people have emailed me back. The other 3 haven't. So if we don't get those winners back, I gave them 5 days. So if they don't email me back within 5 days, we'll pick new winners. But we also have our Sabrent Rocket NVMe 4.0 contest going on, getting up to 7,200 entries. 5
days.
5 days left. Gen 4, super fast. We will definitely get this out to you. I will be shipping this. So I will make sure it gets out. Sometimes we have some problems with getting products out, but I will be shipping this one myself. So as soon as we have a winner, I will get that out to you super quickly. So definitely get your entry in. 5 days, not a whole lot of time, but I want to, of course. I don't have a contest lined up for after that. So probably, I gotta get that. I gotta figure out something for another contest. But we'll definitely have another contest after that for sure. So I'll get that all sorted out, and we'll move on to news, and some pretty exciting news if you're a Ryzen person. You were previously, before we got on, before we went live, you were talking about you wanted to build a new system, but obviously we have Comet Lake-S coming up, but we got some new news on Gen 4 Ryzen. 4th generation Ryzen processors could come out in September. They were supposed to, or at least the rumor was that they were going to be announced at Computex, and of course Computex was canceled and then later rescheduled to September. So that could be when we would see these. Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited, but the cycle just happens so fast. I feel like I just built my 3000 series, my 3rd gen Ryzen, and
isn't it crazy though? I don't really remember. My memory isn't that great, but like, were our refresh cycles this fast?
I don't feel like they were. I really don't. But at the same, I think the reason is before Ryzen, like it was so long. I don't know what the gap was between like AMD's last release and then Ryzen, right? I felt
well,
like I was
completely stopped.
Right. So maybe
stopped.
we got used to that, right?
I don't know, because I was mainly an Intel guy before Ryzen. So, but yeah, it just seems so quick, and it's just like,
it's every year.
Yeah. I mean, it basically is every year we're getting something new. So, that's pretty exciting. Again, like you said, we'll wait until it actually happens, and I think as we get to the end of summer, we should see motherboard leaks. We should see more leaks on these processors as well. So that's definitely something to just keep an eye on. But I'm definitely excited for it. Us, we both have Ryzen systems here, and we're pretty big fans of Ryzen. So talking about releases, Comet Lake-S is supposedly coming at the 15 days from, or at least to be announced within a couple weeks here. And a Canadian retailer listed the processors and a few of the processors and their prices in Canadian. So the Core i9-10900 would be $679 Canadian, which is $486 US. The i7-10700K would be $585 Canadian, which is $419 US, and the i7-10700, the non-K version, would be $506, which is $362.
What were we saying last week on pricing? I know we talked about it, and we were kind of debating what we thought.
The biggest thing is that right now the 3900X, which is 12 core, 24 thread, is $439. So it even at 500, I could see it's like we're still Intel. Yeah. This part probably will beat the 3900X in some benchmarks, especially gaming.
And gaming.
Yeah. So we could say $499, but I just can't imagine it being more than that.
No.
Especially with like how the economy is right now and how people aren't really spending money like they were before and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, 486, that's the non-K version. So that's like, that is kind of on par, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leaks like this mean that we have a release coming soon. Again, hopefully we have a release or an announcement on the 30th of this month and then availability a month later. I think a lot of Intel people want these parts. I mean, going from 8 core to 10 core is a big deal. And talking about that being a big deal, because it's still 14 nanometer, you might encounter some problems. So somebody had their hands on one of these processors already, the Core i9-10900F, which is the 65 watt version of the 10 core 12 or 10. Why this is all messing me up. The 10 core 20 thread processor. They had their hands on it and they were doing some benchmarking and overclocking and everything like that. They had it running at or what was it? They had it running at 4.6 gigahertz on all 10 cores with 100% load. And let me actually bring this up so I can actually see it. The CPU package voltage, where is it? That's the power. The CPU package voltage was at 220 watts, which is quite high for a part that, this is a lot of people don't understand is that
when they call it a 65 watt part,
it's not going to run at 65 watts most of the time. That's at the base clock, which is 2.8 gigahertz. The PL1 power limit is 158 watts. The PL2 power limit is 224 watts. So it's running at 220 watts. And the other interesting thing is was running at a 240 millimeter AIO, and the CPU package is at 90 degrees Celsius, which I'm not surprised at all. I mean, the 9900K I had, I ran at on a 240 millimeter AIO. I ran that thing around 90 something while overclocking. So this is technically overclocking because you are running all the cores at 4.6. And again, this thing is supposed to boost to 5.2 gigahertz single core, but still.
Yeah.
So yeah, this thing's gonna run. I mean, it like you can't expect. I mean, for them to, when the 9900K came out, we're like, you're cramming more cores and higher frequencies in the same thing.
Same package, yeah. So.
Yeah, the same 14 nanometer package. And again, now you're cramming 2 more cores and higher frequencies in the same package. It's going to run hot.
Yep.
I'm not surprised at this. I think that a lot of people, if you're not running a decent air cooler like a Noctua, you're really not going to be able to hit those all-core boosts of 4.6. And if you do, you're hitting it for 3 or 4 seconds, and then it's going back down under normal circumstances. So I just like it. To me, somebody who's done the 8700K and 9900K, like seeing the temperatures and your boost is only going to be for a few seconds. So it's not surprising to me at this. I think a lot of people are really surprised, and I'm not.
You're not
all that. So yeah. But yeah, it's something, like I said, to keep in mind. And again, these processors will not ship with a cooler, so you'll have to buy a cooler. And if you're getting any of the 10 core parts, you're going to want like $100 Noctua or something like that, or at least a 240 millimeter, if not higher, if you want to use the processor to its full capability technically. So really interesting news out of China or Korea. Now, I don't know how to say it.
Huawei?
You said Huawei. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. And I was actually going to go on YouTube and type in how to say it because again, we don't cover phones, and this is a company mainly known for phones, right? Huawei could possibly, they are going to be entering the GPU market on the server side. So it's not like you're going to see like Huawei gaming graphics cards. So they created this new cloud and AI business group division. And this new project is going to tackle the GPU server market, where basically NVIDIA is kind of the king of that. That's a massive market with a lot of money to be made. And there's actually rumors of them going after former NVIDIA staff, and they might be poaching current NVIDIA staff. So that's kind of interesting. And they actually came out with an AI accelerator late last year, which is actually twice the power of the Tesla V100 from NVIDIA. Their new, there's no information on what the new accelerator will be, but it should be pretty powerful. And it's just like another player in this server market, which you have NVIDIA, right. AMD, Intel will be entering the market here soon, and on the server side, and now you have Huawei. And Huawei is not a small company by any means. They're not as big over here, only when it comes to phones, and then Trump said no to that.
Yep.
I think it's a great market to go after, especially with how big a company they are and everything like that. The thing that's interesting to me is, say this goes really well, 2 years down the line, do they have a gaming GPU?
I mean, it's a market they could get into, I guess.
And they're in the Asian and Korean market. How big esports is, how big gaming is over there. Like, wouldn't they want to offer technically their customers,
a product, that's designed there and
designed there, built there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, there's been companies to try to do this, and they haven't been able to. But I think I like more players in the market. It makes things less expensive for us consumers typically. So we'll see how that goes. And here is the story that I feel is right up your alley, since you're our storage nerd. It has to do with WD Red NAS drives. Of course, that's their network attached storage drives. I have a bunch in a NAS, and I'm sure you have a ton, a lot more than I do probably. And what's really interesting is that basically, I'm not going to go into detail because, again, maybe you'd be better about talking about this story than I am.
I mean, I didn't read this story, but I had seen some of this, a post on Reddit on the data hoarder subreddit.
Yeah, so this is basically where this came from. So basically, most of the WD Red drives
the 2 to 6 terabyte. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the WD Red drives, they did use conventional magnetic recording. That's the process in which your data gets recorded to the drive.
Right.
These 2 to 6 terabyte newer drives use SMR, which is
shingled magnetic recording. It's just like a different way of putting the data onto the drive. What it really boils down to is like you have less performance, like with your seeks across it. They're better for just like a straight write or read of a single file. You just really don't get the performance that you get out of a standard track. You get more. You essentially get more density onto your platters, but you don't get the performance that you typically would.
So you get less performance with this, but another thing is that if you wanted to add one of these new drives to your RAID array, it would basically try to do it for like a couple hours, and then it would give you an error, and you're like, especially in like a business, like in a business setting or something like that, where you need to add these drives and you need to have your RAID array operational. That would cause a big issue. And the thing that's really interesting about the story is that WD initially denied it, saying that and in the like where you could look up what type of drive it is, like if it was CMR or SMR, it would say CMR, but people dove deeper into like the firmware or whatever, and that it was CMR, and then they had to kind of recant their statement, and it was like kind of very misleading. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
It's just weird for WD to kind of not. And again, a WD spokesperson said one thing, and then the WD said that person was wrong. It was like very misleading.
Yeah, and I mean that they're like, well, hey, our drives like meet or exceed the standards and specifications that we put out there. It's just it's kind of shady.
Yeah, so very shady. If you're the whole story came out of the data hoarder subreddit, but yeah, if you're buying if you have all WD Reds right now and you're buying a 2 to 6 terabyte, you need to look at the product, like the actual model number, because they have them listed there.
Like the EMAS, all those versions. Thankfully, I don't mess with anything under 8 terabytes, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. This is Mr. Elitist over here. But yeah, if you check out that article if that's something you're into, and it's about it, and if you're gonna think about buying some WD Red drives, that's something you want to definitely keep in mind. So
I mean, really, the price point right now, it doesn't even make sense to go under like probably 10 terabytes, to be honest. Like the price difference between those smaller drives and the larger ones that aren't gonna use SMR is pretty small.
One of my drives died in my NAS. I need to upgrade it. I need to get a new one. I just haven't done it yet. It's been like a month. I need to do it.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, but we'll talk about something that I actually saw 2 years ago, and I was wondering why it never made it to market, but it's finally made it to market. So Lian Li has updated their desks, which are their uber expensive all aluminum desks. Real quick, Old Man says, doesn't SMR drives have fewer writes also? Is that true?
Writes over the age of the drive, like your terabytes written rating. I don't know what exactly what it's asking.
So the DK05 and DK04 are their desk chassis. These are amazing. I would love to have one, but they're like thousands of dollars and they're way too expensive. But they updated them, so now you have the DK05 F, right? Is that right? Wow, I wrote this article and I don't remember.
DK05 and the DK04.
Yeah, DK05F and the DK04F. The big change is that you have this electrochromatic or chromic glass. This is basically glass where you can press a button and it becomes opaque or blurry, and you can press it again and you can see. This is used in offices and things like that, but you have it in this desk. So like you don't want people to see your hardware, you press it. You want people to see your hardware, you press it. It's actually really cool. I saw it 2 years ago at CES, and it was one of the coolest things that I saw, and I was like, oh, we'll see this, and we hadn't seen it. That's the big change on these. The other big change is that you can now remove the motherboard tray without having to remove the power supply as well. So they had a bigger tray that was like bigger than this, and there was like a power supply mount somewhere, and that all came out. And that's kind of doesn't make sense because power supply is connected to all the other components. So now you have this tray that you can pull out, install everything, and then put it back in. These are crazy expensive. If you buy one, I'm jealous, because it would be great to have, you wouldn't have to have a tower on your desk because your PC goes in this stuff, which is really cool. Yeah.
Not my thing.
Yeah, I want one of those really bad. So another cool thing that you might be interested in, I don't know.
Capture.
Yeah, so Avermedia launches the world's first external 4K HDR 240 FPS capture box. So this is their Live Gamer Bolt. Basically, it's going to capture 4K HDR at 240 FPS. So if you're gaming at that, you can, of course, capture it and then put it out to, to any streaming, YouTube, Twitch, anything like that. It uses Thunderbolt 3 to do this. Very cool. I think I forget how much this price is. $449 for this little box that does that. But if you're a serious gamer, I think it's something, or you're a professional, gamer, you can capture at the speed that you're probably playing, like Counter-Strike Source or something like that.
I guess. I mean, I just like those stats are impressive. But again, when you see the number of people actually running 4K, like you compare the Steam hardware stats and things like that, and how many people are still running a 1080, 60 FPS monitor, right? Like, who's this like designed for? I guess, like, what's your audience that actually can watch a 4K, 240 FPS video and get anything out of it?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can record it and save it for later, right? So once this becomes more mainstream, you've got content for it. Yeah. But these specs seem like overkill almost, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree. That's why it's probably the world's first, right?
Sure.
Just for the fact of, like, when was the world's first 4K TV? It was like years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like kind of like the same thing. I do think it's very cool. And again, to push 240 FPS just in a game, I mean, Counter-Strike Source maybe with a 20.
I know, and they showed it there with, I guess a controller could be anything. I guess there's a keyboard and mouse there as well, but
yeah.
I think it's future-proofed, right?
It's what?
It's working on being future-proof. So
yeah. Talking about gaming, we have a lot of gaming news. First thing is starting tomorrow.
Today.
You have that 2070. Yeah, RTX 2070. So Minecraft, the RTX beta will start tomorrow. So you can you have to get the game. You have to have an RTX card, obviously, and then you have to have the game for Windows 10. So you have to get that, and the game's $20. And you can play with RTX on. And I did get to mess with this at the NVIDIA suite at CES, and you could press a button and turn RTX off and on, you could toggle it, and it was the coolest.
So awesome.
It was the coolest thing. I don't know if this will actually show.
I haven't watched the trailer yet, but I think they're launching it with these worlds available.
Yeah, these worlds that are available to kind of explore. And you can it doesn't look like this is amazing, but if you would look at what it like being able to see under the water and things like that, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a night and day difference between when we were at that booth, like you said, hitting that key combination and switching between RTX on and off was just awesome.
Yeah. So they have 6 different worlds.
It's cool. The Neon District looks awesome.
I can't. But yeah, like I said, there's 6 different worlds to choose from. I think it's really cool that you, like I said, that it's a game that doesn't need hard TX, but I think when you add it, it's really cool, actually.
Like Minecraft with shaders enabled and all sorts of like custom texture packs and lighting packs. It looks great. Now they're just, doing it in real time right there. So, and I think it's nice that they're releasing it with those 6 maps as opposed to just like starting you out with nothing, because I don't think it would be as impressive. Making people create their own stuff and then having to share those worlds.
And I believe those worlds were made by like famous Minecraft builders, which I think is really cool as well. So yeah, really cool stuff there. Another really cool thing, and it was only like people said that this would like, there was people like, oh no, this would never happen. I was like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen very quickly. Somebody came out with a mod that allows you to play Half-Life Alyx, which is a VR game, which is probably the most popular VR game of this era in VR games, I would say, that allows you to play it without a VR headset. 'Cause that's the whole thing that's holding so many people back from getting the game and playing the game, is that, like even like the cheap headset is what, $400?
Yeah.
So you don't want to pay $400 plus another 50 or whatever for the game. So somebody again came out with this no VR mod that allows you to play the game with keyboard and mouse and without a headset, which I think
I wonder how it is.
I mean, the beginning, like you can see where like there's like the screen. You see that?
Okay. Yep.
But that's kind of what you would expect, right? A little bit of the screen kind of going, which way. But I think people who want to play a Half-Life game now
want to experience it.
Yeah, they want to experience it. And again, this was bound to happen. Like it was. I'm not surprised whatsoever. I think it's really cool. So again, if we have the link to the mod where you can go ahead and, again, you're adding these files so you could corrupt your installation, all that other stuff. But if you want to play it, you don't have a headset, you want to experience Half-Life Alyx, this is the way to do it. I don't think the experience will be as good as a VR headset by any means.
It'd be interesting, like you were talking about the black border there that kind of pops up. If they, I guess on those quick movements, the border gets bigger, it looked like.
Yeah.
If you could have like shrunk the actual viewport so that it would cut that black box out to make it smoother, but I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Yeah. Like I said, I knew it was going to happen. The Half-Life series is too big to just be VR only, with VR being rather expensive, I would say. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I've seen like the actual game, like the thing is, I think that Valve wanted Half-Life Alyx to be the game that made people buy VR. And I was seeing some stats. There was only like a few thousand people playing it.
Concurrently. I mean, like when it first came out, it was like really popular. The numbers are really high, but it's died off quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that people just don't want to invest in that headset, and they don't want to invest in the headset for one game, right?
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. So it didn't do what I think that they wanted it to do, but still cool. You can play it without one, which I think is pretty cool if you don't want to do that. And then over to Crysis. We've been talking about this, and it looks like something's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So for the first time in 4 years, the Crysis Twitter account made a tweet. And the tweet was receiving data. Whatever that means. We don't know what that means. More than likely, we're going to get a Crysis remaster with, of course, crazy high-end textures, and will it run Crysis might become a thing again. The reason why we think it's a remaster is because that during their Q2 earnings call, EA said that they're going to be delivering some exciting remasters of fan favorites. Of course, Crysis is a big fan favorite. And
there was that video that they were showing as well, right?
Yeah, and like, a couple weeks ago,
landscape of that looks a lot like Crysis.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, they celebrated their 10th anniversary of CryEngine, which is the engine that powers Crysis. And they, what's it called? And at the end of the video, they show the beach. Everybody knows the beach scene in Crysis, and they show it, and they're like, why is that on there? there must be something, because it's an iconic scene from Crysis, because it at the time that it looked real, you know what I mean, at the time, like it was very, very cool and very beautiful. And so now the Crysis Twitter account just receiving data. I assume we're going to get a cool remaster that, you know, uses the new engine, and that's is, you know, going to be awesome. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think that's going to be really cool.
I had a tweet yesterday, and it said, "Hey Nomad, you're still with us." So they've done even more. Yeah,
so it's definitely coming for sure. So I'm pretty excited for that. Also something to be excited about, probably the most hyped game of this year, Cyberpunk 2020. They put out that the game is the game in itself is complete, as far as like all the missions are done, like all that kind of stuff is done. They will be working on like 0-day fixes and getting the game mastered and everything like that. But the game in itself is done, which is really exciting for PC fans or gaming fans, because this game has been delayed. And with coronavirus, it could have been delayed even more. But the game is done now. You have 5 months till September release date. They're going to be working on, you know, just polishing the game up, basically, not adding new content, but just polishing what they already have. So it should hit that launch date, which is September 17th. So that's something to be excited about for sure. So we have that, and what else do we have? We have Call of Duty. So our last gaming news story of the day, we have Call of Duty Warzone, which was the free battle royale Call of Duty, very popular. It has reached 50 million players in its first month, which is pretty impressive. Not surprised at a big number, because that's like one of the most popular online games is Call of Duty.
Most popular franchise is Call of Duty. I mean,
and it's free. So why not play it? Around 6 million people play it daily. 50 million players have signed up. I think it's just have signed up. So that's pretty impressive in just 1 month. So that's really cool. I downloaded it. I have not played it. I just love Apex so much. I was like thinking about this. I was like, there hasn't been a game that I've liked as much as Apex. It's just like the mechanics of the game I love. I like the speed. It's just like, that's just my type of game.
Yeah, it's I think it's the right amount of like, it's a shooter, but then it has little elements of, you know, this character does this and that, but it's not like Fortnite where it's like builds and you got to do this, that, and the other. And
I like it that like there's not like a massive inventory like you see in Call of Duty or PUBG where you had this whole and like I had to sit there and go through things for like a long period of time. Like that's not my thing. So that's why I like Apex so much. But that is the news for the week, guys. We will go on to what we have coming up next week. And I have this, maybe if you guys notice, like I'm looking a little bit different. I'm more like laid back in my chair because I have this monstrosity of a monitor in front of me. I'll be taking a look at the Dell Ultra Sharp 43-inch. Actually, it's 42.5 inch diagonal, but it's the 43 4K USB-C monitor. This is more of a productivity monitor at 60 hertz, so it's not really a gaming monitor. But I'm huge on productivity because, again, I work on the internet. I need multiple windows, and this is so cool because, as you can see, why can't I click this picture and make it bigger? Dell, you need to fix that. But in this picture here, you have 4 screens. You basically can do 4 1080p screens on one monitor. And on top of that, it does do the picture-in-picture. So I can do 4 different inputs onto one monitor at once.
That's so awesome.
Which is really cool. And this one's USB-C. So you can do like a USB-C from a laptop onto here to do 4K. It would work with a Mac, with a newer MacBooks. And one thing that's really cool about this too is like, again, you see USB hubs on monitors all the time, but they're Type A ports. This one has a Type A and a Type C, which I like because there's so many new Type C devices that, you know.
So what are the inputs? Does it have like, if it had like 4 display port inputs?
It has.
I can go to the picture myself, can't I?
Yeah, you can. It has.
HDMI, HDMI, DisplayPort. So 2 HDMI, 2 DisplayPort.
And then you have a Type-C as well.
Type-C. Well, I'm just thinking, like, I need this function, that picture-in-picture functionality at work for some stuff. So that, like, it's a lot cheaper than some of the other options I was looking at for.
Yeah, it's really cool. And again, what's really, like, again, this is the Type-C version, so you can connect with one cable, you know, a MacBook or a laptop to go up to 4K resolution as well. And the picture-in-picture is great on this. It's just like, it's a great productivity monitor, and that's what kind of like one reason I like to take a look at it. The stand is excellent. The size, it's very thin for what it is as well. So yeah, it's just a good monitor overall. Old Man says he has a 43-inch LG 4K. Yeah, like 4 1080p screens is really nice for productivity, or like so many times, like instead of listening to music on like Spotify, I always like listen to it on like YouTube. I just like put up YouTube and, you know, and like listen to music, and like I want to watch the music video. So now instead of having 2 screens like I would on my 34-inch, like I have 4, and I can actually watch the music video now, which is kind of nice on one monitor, which is really cool too. It is big though, so like it has taken me a little bit of time to get used to, which it's give or take, but we'll have that for you guys next week. And then I'll also be taking a look at a M.2 SSD, and this one comes from HP of all people. This is their SSD EX950, which is going to have 3,500 megabytes a second reads and 2,900 megabytes a second writes. This is just like a great upgrade drive. It's a great drive. Well, all around great drive. It's not crazy high performance, but it's a great upgrade drive. It's a great drive to put in a, like, you know, put in a laptop or something like that. So we'll have that 2 terabyte version for you guys there as well. And that is it for what we have. We always talk about if we did any tech related stuff or anything like that.
No, not really. I mean, no, not this week. I didn't anyways.
I haven't done anything. I've been just doing reviews and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I did anything or if I watched anything. I watched the new Tiger King episode, the follow-up.
I watched like the first episode, and it seemed like it was 3 hours long watching it. I just couldn't get into it, and I don't want to, like, I can't commit any more time to it, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I watched anything else, anything tech related. I really don't think I have. I did watch a couple YouTube videos about the hollow earth theory. That's a fun YouTube web to go down through. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. We hope everybody out there is, of course, staying safe, and of course getting a lot of gaming going on, or doing some folding at home and all that kind of cool stuff. But we will go ahead and end things here. Are we gaming? So we'll be jumping on Twitch. That's Twitch. I have the banner here somewhere. Twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. We're going to be jumping on there in a few minutes. Get some Apex on, I guess. We Apexing?
I think so, yeah.
Ryan's not very enthused about this.
No, I'm good with it.
So we will go ahead and jump on over there. I have my snacks ready. I'm ready to game. So Ryan needs his snacks and his G Fuel. So
I got my G Fuel.
So all right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and end things here. We will catch you guys next week.